comes to the markets and as far as, what really Trump is planning on doing. We'll get into details about that up ahead. And I wanted to do an RSP recap, really just so that everybody can have kind of a refresher on it, and really, keep in mind that we are in RSP season, so it is that time of year to make sure that your clients are doing their contributions to decrease their taxes payable for the year. So we'll do that, and then I think we should have hopefully 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes at the end for some questions. And I believe the last time we did training, I think we covered off the asset allocation guidelines, right? Like using investor profiles, right? So if anybody has any questions on that, of course, feel free to ask. Like I said, really that is something that's invaluable for all of us to not only learn, but apply on a day-to-day basis. So if you have any questions on that, or you guys want to review it a little bit, feel free to ask. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen. I'm going to switch over to the RSP presentation, but before we actually get into RSPs, I want to share with you guys, one second. Oh, here we go. I want to share with you guys a bit of a market update. So I'm not going to go through the graphs or anything. These are a little bit outdated. Really, like I said, right now, one second, we're in a kind of a wait and see environment as far as what Trump is going to do. But before I get into Trumponomics, as they call them nowadays, I wanted to walk you guys through something that happened yesterday. I'm not sure if you guys looked at the markets yesterday, but the markets had a massive decline in just one day. So the S&P 500 fell about 2.5%. The NASDAQ, so the DAC, I believe it fell about 3 or 3.5%. The reason we had such a large drop yesterday is because over the weekend, a Chinese AI startup was, essentially a lot of information about it was released. It's called DeepSeek. It's a AI startup, and essentially, the reason we had such a bloodbath really yesterday was essentially the fact that NVIDIA dropped 17% in one day. The reason that NVIDIA fell 17% in one day is because this new AI startup that's coming out in China, it is said, well, they claim, so this needs to be verified still, of course, but they claim to have created this AI system, which is much better than ChatGPT or any of the other AI systems and platforms that we have in North America that are currently on market, essentially. And they created it for about 5% of the cost. So this, of course, needs to be verified. A lot of the large language models that we have right now, the minimum cost of entry for them to building them is about $100 million and change. This system is claimed, they claim to have created it with $5.6 million. Now, whether that is or isn't true remains to be seen. Of course, needs to be verified. But what is a fact, or at least seems to be, is that their AI system seems to be significantly better than what we do have currently on market, like I said. So it's causing a big shift in narrative as far as costs, as far as valuations, because if an AI startup can just come out and create, a better system, much faster, much cheaper, why would anybody be buying the more expensive one that is not as good, right? Now, that being said, again, all this information still needs to be verified. We don't really have all the details yet. We do know there's some vague details that have been released so far, but anything that's 100% solid or corroborated isn't quite there yet. So we're working on that. More information to come probably over the next couple of weeks or so. But that is what derailed the market essentially yesterday, is that there was just this massive competitor that can undercut their competition by 95%. So huge opportunity here. And again, as always, I always like to tell you guys, whenever the market goes down, it's a buying opportunity. As always, NVIDIA, like I said, fell 17-18% yesterday. It rallied about 9 or 8% today. So, really, it just comes to show how when the market falls, don't panic. Really, I want you guys to take this point of view, this perspective to your clients. I think we've talked about this before. Don't shy away from the conversation of, at some point your money's going to be down 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, whatever the case may be. This is a conversation that you always want to make sure you have early on with your clients, because you want to make sure that they understand what is going to happen. Markets are going to go up, markets are going to go down. So it's really important.
Daniel,
Yeah.
Daniel, there have been other market crashes before. Do you have like a slide that can show the team what happens after a crash, how the market can rally back, and if you pull out, that's when you end up losing. If you have something like that, I think the team can look at that, and it'll be a visual for them as well.
Sure. 1 second. So this is a great example of the market. So this is the S&P 500. Let me just make it a tiny bit bigger. 1 second. No, didn't want to get bigger. Okay, 1 second. So, for example, let's make this graph a little bit smaller, easier to look at. 2020, COVID, market fell 30%, right? From this point down, very, very fast decline, and the market dumped. 31% drawdown in pretty much, a month. Yeah, about a month, exactly a month, actually. One of the fastest drawdowns we've seen in history. What happened shortly thereafter? If you just waited, so let's just assume you bought here at the worst possible time. If you just waited, you made your money back from in July. If you sold, you lost 30%. So, when it comes to investments, it's no different to when, and this is going to sound, it's going to sound insincere, but it's quite frankly the truth. There's no difference between when you walk into the grocery store and everything's 50% off. You don't run out in a panic and say, "Oh, I can't buy it." No, you buy more because it's 50% off. The same logic applies here. It's just unfortunately because we have there's psychology that plays into this. It's my savings, it's my livelihood, it's all I can, it's my money. What if it goes down further? There's a lot of psychological factors that play into this. So when it comes to investing, if your money is down, do not sell. Wait, buy more. That's really, I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you as an advisor to not only teach your clients this, but explain it to them whenever they come to this panic moment. Again, in 2022, when interest rates started going up, markets fell 23%. It was a little bit steeper. And look at what happened shortly thereafter. Since, the market has just been running, right? So when the market's down, buy more. It's really, I cannot emphasize this enough. It's to your advantage. And, I can go back as far as you like. This is the 2008 crash, which is known as, to be one of the worst ones in history. If you just waited, look at what happened over time, right? So you can look at any global stock market index over time, and you see how in the long run, they go up. Yes, there are short-term blips, but that's not what you want to be focusing on. So that's why, one of the main things that I want you guys, advisors, to focus on is the fact that, you are not, you're not here to trade on behalf of the client. You're not here to be buying and selling and moving in and out of positions, on a weekly, monthly, or even every couple of months, every 6 months basis. Your job as an as an advisor is to simply invest according to your client's risk profile. That's it. You buy S&P 500, you buy the TSX, whatever the case may be, however we build that portfolio, and you hold it. Now, something else that's really important for you as the advisor, and also for you to impress upon the client, investments aren't a 6-month thing. They're not a 1-year thing. A lot of advisors sometimes will ask, what do you expect is going to happen in the markets in the next 6 months? I don't know. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter. What do I think is going to happen in the next 12 months? I don't know. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter. It obviously, yes, it does matter. But from an investment perspective, it doesn't. You should not be changing your investment strategy because of short-term blips. You do not want to make short-term decisions with long-term plans. Really, really important for you guys to understand that. One of my favorite quotes, I think I've told you guys this one before, but it really exemplifies what the stock market is and how it functions, or not just the stock market, but markets. This is a quote from Warren Buffett. He says, "The stock market is a mechanism that transfers money from the impatient to the patient." And that's, when I showed you that graph, if you bought in February of 2020, the market falls 30% on you and you panic sell, somebody is more than happy to buy Apple, Nvidia, Google, Tesla, Amazon at a 30%, 40% discount off of you so that they can then sell it off to somebody else at double or triple, right? So keep in mind, when it comes to investments are 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50-year time horizons. When you're speaking to a client who's retiring, let's say, you're dealing with me as your client, I'm 31 years old. I don't have 30 years or 35 years to invest until I retire at 60, 65. I have probably 60 years of time horizon when it comes to investing, because I'm not just going to stop investing when I reach retirement, right? I still have to continue to invest so that so I don't run out of money and I continue to grow my money. Now back to news. Just a quick plug: go long, go strong. Hold equities. Go long, go strong. But now back to news. We are waiting to see what's going to happen on February 1st with the tariffs. Obviously, the tariffs are a lose-lose situation for everybody. We are expecting them to be phased in, 2% at a time per month. We still have the expectation that they may be postponed or delayed until maybe some more favorable terms can be achieved and we can actually have a negotiation as far as what things need to be changed. So we are waiting to see what happens there, but for the time being, it's pretty much, the market is doing well, the economy is doing really well, but this can have really negative impacts on certain sectors of the market. It doesn't necessarily mean that the whole market is going to plummet. It just means that certain sectors can be affected. Other sectors will definitely, be winners. There's always a winner and there's always a loser, unfortunately, when it comes to markets, for better or for worse. And we just have to learn how to trade those events, live through those events, and continue to buy through those events. That's why, last thing I'll say, last plug, I promise, is my best suggestion when it comes to your own investments, your clients' investments, building your practice: set up packs for every single one of your clients. Particularly for RSP season, we're going to talk about RSPs right now. It's so much easier for me as a client to give you, $450 or $500 a month to put into my RSP than it is to give you $5,000-$6,000 in a single day. And usually, we all have that client that calls on February 27th or 28th at 6 p.m. saying, I have to get that contribution in for RSPs. So it helps you as an advisor to minimize your workload, because you're going to have your RSP contributions automatically set up for, most of your clients. Obviously, not all of them can put in the full amount they need to contribute. But it's going to help you minimize your overall load when it comes to, transactions and dealing with things and that sort of thing. So highly suggest you guys doing packs for that reason, but also, if the market does fall a bit, you're buying more as it goes down and you're buying more as it goes back up. So I highly suggest every single one of your clients to have a pack. Doesn't matter if it's $25 or $25,000 a month. Just adding a pack is really, really crucial to helping your clients grow their assets over time. So
Daniel, before you go on to the RSP, I noticed we had a bunch of people jump on a little bit later on. Can you just put up the CE credit QR code again? Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Everyone who's licensed, make sure you register in the QR code for your CE credit today. So everyone who's licensed. Perfect. Okay, Daniel, I think we're good to go. Yeah.
Good to go? All right.
All right.
Let
Thank you.
me stop sharing this and let's go here, back to the RSPs. Okay. So I'm going to walk you guys through RRSP basics and how to issue an RRSP loan if your client would like to have one as well. So first, what is an RRSP? So an RRSP is a registered retirement savings plan. So as the name very obviously suggests, it's an account designed for retirement savings. It is a tax deferred, not tax-free account. Taxes will have to be paid on the money when it is withdrawn. The annual contribution limit is 18% of earned income up to a maximum of $30,780 for 2023. That'll increase with inflation. So obviously here, the higher your income is, the more your RRSP contribution limit is, up to a maximum of that 30,780. And obviously, the main requirement, if you don't have an income, you don't have RSP contribution, right? RSP contributions may lower your income for the year contributed. So the reason RSPs are so popular, for better or for worse, is the fact that as an employee, it is the only way to decrease your taxes payable. So let's just say, for example, if you make $100,000 a year in income, that 100,000 is fully taxable, right? If you now contribute $10,000 into an RRSP, your taxes payable decrease. Your taxable income, decreases by $10,000. So your taxable income went from $100,000 to $90,000 because you've contributed $10,000 into an RRSP. So that's really the why use an RRSP, why choose an RRSP, why contribute to an RRSP, because it helps you decrease your taxable income in the year, and as a result, how much you owe in taxes. So requirements: so you must be over the age of 18 and under the age of 71 years of age. You have to have a valid SIN number, and you have to be a resident of Canada for tax purposes and file an income tax in Canada. So why choose an RSP? So RSPs have two key advantages. So any contributions you make up to your contribution limit are tax deductible and may reduce your taxes, the income tax you pay in the year, like I just mentioned. And you won't pay tax on your contributions or investment growth until you withdraw the money from your RSPs. By the time you do so, your income may be lower, so you may be taxed at a lower rate. Now, I'll just to give you guys an idea of the theory behind why an RRSP is very valuable is, let's just say, I'm gonna scroll forward for a second. If while I'm working, my income, I pay taxes at this rate at 53%. And when I retire, I'm paying taxes here at 31%. Obviously, I have a 21.5% benefit, right? That's the whole theory behind the RRSP. While I'm working, I make more money. And then when I'm retired, in theory, I make less money, right? So you're getting a tax refund on this amount, on the 53.5, 49%. And then when you withdraw the money, you're paying taxes on the 31 or 28%. That's the theory behind how the RRSP ideally works. The RRSP deadline for this year, for 2025, is March 2nd or 3rd, I believe. Now, there are also two additional features of an RRSP. So if you're looking to buy property under the home buyer plan, you are able to withdraw money from your RRSP. And if you want to go back to school, taking advantage of the lifelong learning plan, you are able to do so. So the home buyer plan, this page needs to be updated. I believe now it's $60,000 that you're able to withdraw from your RRSP without any tax deductions under the home buyer plan to purchase a home. You have up to 15 years to repay your RRSP. And your repayment period starts the second year after the year when you make the withdrawal. So for example, if you withdrew funds in 2020 to buy a home, your first year of repayment will begin in 2022. You cannot claim as a deduction on your income tax benefit and benefit return an amount you designated as a repayment. So when you put money into an RRSP, like I mentioned, you get a tax refund. When you take it out under the home buyer plan, it comes out without any withholding taxes. It comes out as effectively tax-free because you have to repay it. So those contributions that you're putting back as a repayment, you cannot use to deduct more income taxes, because the government's not going to allow you to get a double benefit. Essentially, it's simply a recontribution. Okay, so you cannot get the benefit twice. Essentially, lifelong learning plan. So you can withdraw up to a total of $20,000 from your RSPs, up to $10,000 in the calendar year, up to $20,000 in total, and you can participate in the lifelong learning plan. You can participate yourself while your spouse or common law partner participates in the LLP for him or herself. You can both participate in it for either of you, and you can participate in the LLP plan for each other. You have up to 10 years to make repayments. Usually each year you have to repay 1/10 of the total amount you withdrew until the full amount is repaid. Now, there's a big debate, TFSAs versus RRSPs. They're both useful. You can't just use the one. If your taxes, if you don't have any income, then yeah, TFSA is obviously going to be much more beneficial. And one other thing to keep in mind is taxes aren't static. Over time, they do increase. So, even this assumption here is potentially incorrect. But, when we look at how you want to use or how you want to make the decision between an RSP and a TFSA is, what is your income level? That's what's going to dictate everything. So, for example, if the tax rate at the time of contribution is greater than the tax at the withdrawal, the RSP is more beneficial. Why? Again, similar to what I was mentioning. If I'm getting taxed here, so I contribute here and I withdraw here, it's more beneficial, right? I'm able to decrease my taxes payable and I have a lot more benefits. If the tax rate at time of contribution is equal to the tax rate at withdrawal, then TFSAs and RSPs are both equally beneficial. And then tax rate at time of contribution is smaller than the tax rate at withdrawal, the TFSA is more beneficial. Now, my suggestion is don't just use one. Excuse me. My suggestion is use both. So, in this example, we have a client, earning $45,000 a year. Now, if this client was to make a $5,000 contribution into their RRSP, this $5,000 multiplied by their marginal tax rate is 22.7. You're going to get $1,116.34 back from the government. So, what is a marginal tax rate? This is a marginal tax rate. As your income increases, every dollar addition gets taxed differently, right? So for example, if I make $55,867 and that gets taxed at 22.7. If I make an additional dollar, that additional dollar gets taxed at 28.2. Very straightforward. Now, so in this case, $45,000 income, $5,000 contribution to the RSP, they're able to get $1,116 back. My suggestion, take this $1,116 and put that into a TFSA. Has multiple benefits. One, it helps the client save more money, 22, almost 23% more money just from moving money from one account to another. So you're putting money into an RSP, you're giving the client back $1,116. Take that money and put it into a TFSA and invest it. You're effectively giving the client an instantaneous 22.7 rate of return on their money. They get this 1,116. They can invest now 6,116 if you add these two up, 5,000 in the RSP, 1,100 in the TFSA, and they can still grow that money as well. Another benefit is, if all the client's money is in an RSP, what happens if there's an emergency and they need to withdraw, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000? If they have all of their money in an RSP, they're going to get taxed on an RSP withdrawal. So that's why we want to have a bit of a balance of both, so that maybe they have 3,000 in the TFSA and they have the rest in the RSP. This way they don't pay as much in taxes, right? We want to help save or help our clients manage their cash flow much better. Another added benefit, of course, is using the TFSA, right? You're just moving money around to make more money, and you're still investing that money. So I would always suggest use both. But of course, you always want to make sure you look at the client's personal situation, what's their income, and make a decision from there. So now in this case, we have a client with $80,000 a year in income and a $15,000 RSP contribution. Again, we take a look at their marginal tax rate, 28.2. This $15,000 contribution is going to give the client $4,230 back. Again, my suggestion here is contribute that $15,000, whatever the case may be. Take the tax savings, what you're getting as a refund, and invest that into the TFSA. Right? It's a really, really good way of reinvesting your money into a TFSA, and again, creating more money for your clients to be able to save. They were going to save $15,000, and just because you're moving money around, they're now saving $19,230. So it helps you build your business much faster, and it helps your clients save more money a lot faster. So win-win situation, unlike tariffs. Opposite situation to tariffs, essentially. Now, I'm going to skip through this one. I have a quick example to walk you guys through. And then I want to show you guys something new. And if somebody volunteers a client, that would be ideal, because I don't have access to clients, but we have a new tool that I want to show you guys. But before we get into that, I just wanted to give you guys an example of the value of time when it comes to investments. So in this example, we have Kathy at age 30. She makes annual RSP contributions of $6,000 a year. And then at 45, she decides, or she finds that between a mortgage and the cost of raising 2 kids and saving for their education, she couldn't afford to contribute anymore. Nevertheless, so she contributed over 15 years, from 30 to 45, $6,000 a year. Nevertheless, when she retires at 60, she will have a very attractive nest egg. Jay doesn't begin contributing to his RSP until age 45, but then contributes $12,000 a year until he's 60. So he makes double the contributions over the same amount of time, 15 years, but he has less time to invest. Kathy has invested over 30 years and he's only invested over 15, right? So when you look at the total amount invested, the blue bar, Kathy only invested $90,000 and she ended up with $335,000, let's say. Jay, on the other hand, invested $180,000 and he ended up with $280,000. So a huge difference. She contributed significantly less than he did, but she just had more time to invest. So again, this is why I preach, as I say, the value of use those packs and just start investing early. The value of make time your friend when it comes to investments. The longer you are invested in the market, the higher your average rate of return will be over time. So make sure you use time to your benefit. Again, even if it's only $25, $100, it doesn't matter. A little bit at a time builds up quite significantly. This is kind of an exaggerated example, but if you'd invested $100 in the Dow Jones Industrial Average in 1930, at the end of 2023, you would have, I think it's $8 or $9 million. And that's just off of $100. So again, bit of an extreme, but very long example. It's almost 100 years, but it really just shows the value of money. $100 turning into millions. Unbelievable, right? Imagine having put $1,000 into Bitcoin when it first launched. Put it that way, right? Nobody would be here. Nobody would be here. We'd all be on a beach, sipping margaritas, having a good time. Time would be a concept that's left behind for the rest of the world. But so, really keep that in mind when it comes to investments. And this is why, when clients panic, again, I promised last plug, but this will be the last one, I promise. When clients panic, really just put them back into make them see reality, right? Investments, again, they are not a 1 year, a 2 year, 3 year thing. It's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Sometimes, we have clients that have a 2 or 3 year time horizon, but if that's the case, we're not investing in very aggressive investments. We're investing very conservatively so that they are not concerned with these fluctuations, right? So as always, please always invest according to risk profiles, okay? So I'm going to walk you guys through RSP loans now very quickly, and then I want to show you guys a quick tool that's new to IA. I believe it was launched today or yesterday. Yeah, today or yesterday. Okay, so RSP loans, word of caution. RSP loans are a leveraging strategy. Leveraging meaning borrowing to invest, of course. So you do want to make sure that the client understands what that means and what that may look like. Now, I want to give you guys 1 second. Where is it? Where is it? I'll pause here. So this is more of a general guideline when it comes to borrowing to invest, not necessarily for RSP loans, but I'm sure some of you have, or some of you will, at some point meet a client that says, hey, I took out a mortgage on my house for $500,000 or $1 million or whatever the case may be, and I want to invest it with you. Cool, perfect, great, fantastic, we love it. 500K, $1 million, $10 million, great, we love it, love to hear it. The number one thing that you as an advisor need to know that the client, the number one thing you need to focus on is, can the client pay the monthly payments independent of the performance of the investments? If I'm your client and I rely on the performance of the portfolio to pay the monthly mortgage payment, I should not be borrowing to invest. Why? Because if the market falls, I am no longer able to make those payments, and as a result, I could go bankrupt, or just you lose a lot of money. You're doubling your losses essentially, right? So my suggestion, when it comes, just general guidelines, when it comes to borrowing to invest, always make sure that the client is able to pay for the monthly cost of the loan independent of the performance of the funds. Now, for an RSP loan, it's a little bit different. Because they can't withdraw from the RSP when there's a loan attached to it. So they need to be able to pay it no matter what. So a little bit different, but it is also a little bit easier to qualify, obviously, for an RSP loan because you get 30, 40, 50% back straight away. But just keep that in mind as a general guideline for borrowing to invest. If I cannot afford to make the monthly payments, I should not be borrowing to invest. Very simple, right? Because if I can manage that monthly payment and the market falls for 6 months, a year, 2 years, that's fine. As long as I carry that monthly debt load, and hopefully I don't lose my job as well. Now, when it comes to an RSP loan, we're going to take a look at a few things. So obviously, the borrower must have minimum criteria such as stability of income, overall net worth of borrower must be positive. They're going to have a decent credit history. I believe it's minimum 600, and the ability to meet monthly payments. So there's a term called, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it right here, total debt servicing ratio. So TDSR is what the banks use to be able to to essentially figure out if they're going to lend you money or not. So just to break down how it works for you guys, the way that the TDSR works is, let's say you make $1,000 a month in income. The bank takes a look at what are your total debt costs per month. If your total debt cost per month is $400, so 40%, you are at your capacity. No bank will give you any more debt whatsoever because you are paying 40% of your income is going to debt payments. They do not want to give you more because at that point you're just not going to be able to repay, right? So for us, we need to be able to see at least a 35% TDSR or less. Keep in mind as well, it is much easier to qualify for an RRSP loan than it is for regular loans because, again, like I said, you're going to get 20, 30, 40% back right away. My suggestion is whenever the client gets that tax refund, take that tax refund and immediately pay off a good chunk of the loan. Loan amounts and repayment periods. So minimum loan $1,000, maximum loan $50,000. Excuse me. Repayment period up to 10 years. The loan must be repaid by age 71. So, of course, if the borrower is 68 years old, max repayment period is 3 years. Interest rates, of course, these will change according to if interest rates continue to drop, but it's prime plus 2.25. If it's less than 5,000 or if it's over 5,000, it's prime plus 0.75. We do have a promo going on right now. I believe we're going to discount 0.5% for the first 3 months of the RRSP loan if you issue a new RRSP loan for your client. Repaying the loan, so obviously minimum monthly payments determined by the interest and the repayment period chosen. There are 120 days the client can defer the first payment. Interest does accrue, of course. Repayment frequency can be weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, monthly, whatever you and the client decide. And then a repayment amount higher than the minimum can be chosen, so you pay it back faster, essentially. And payments must be done by PAD. So now using the loan can only be used to deposit into an IA RRSP. RRSPs can be in the borrower's name or the spouse's name, possible to deposit to an existing IA RRSP, and they can be invested in a seg fund, GICs, or in high interest savings. So you can invest in whatever your heart desires, whether it's you or the client individually. You could choose whatever you like. Again, always invest according to client's risk profile and go long, go strong, as always. Now, how do you open an RRSP loan? First thing, you're going to want to, now in this particular scenario, we're assuming the client, we're opening a new RRSP for a client and we're going to give them an RRSP loan in this particular scenario. So in this case, you want to select new contract, of course, click on new contract, takes you to this page. You're going to click on Evo, you continue. Type in the client's name. You just start typing in all their information. You fill in their personal information, name, date of birth, SIN number, yada, yada, yada. You're going to select RRSP because we're opening an RRSP. This is where you select the RRSP loan. So you go to contributions and it's going to say amount borrowed through RRSP loan. That's it. You click on that. And it's going to walk you through the RRSP loan application at this point. So you do need to walk the client through all of this, explain to them the risks, how it works, blah, blah, blah. You can summarize this, of course, as long as the client understands what borrowing to invest means. So principal borrower, so you're going to want to put in the client's information, employment history, all that information, annual income, all that good stuff. Unused RRSP contributions, you're going to want to plug in the analysis of the principal borrower. So if any bankruptcies, any insolvencies, any garnishments, or any property seized. Obviously, if there's yes to any of these, then likely, actually, we will not probably be approving a loan. You want to plug in their assets and liabilities. Any assets, liabilities, plug them all in there. And then finally, you get to the repayment terms. So we want to request a $10,000 loan. We want to pay it back monthly. Day of payment, 15th of the month. First payment is going to be next month, whatever the case may be. Option of 120 days. So you could just push it out 120 days or not. Repayment period, so in this case, 36 months. And as you can see here, so $317 will be the monthly payment. And the total commitment, so RRSP loan is going to be $10,000, and they will end up repaying $11,426 because the additional amount above the 1,000 is the interest, right? Now, my suggestion, of course, like I said, is as soon as the client gets that refund, pay down the loan, and you have two options. One, you can decrease the monthly payment because the loan amount is much smaller, or you can maintain. Ideally, my suggestion would be maintain the higher payment so that the client pays it back faster. But if the client doesn't want to pay it back faster, or they for whatever the case may be, then of course just you can decrease the payment. But my suggestion, in best case scenario, help the client pay it off faster. It'll also decrease how much they're going to actually pay back in, or pay what their interest cost will be. Then finally, you're going to go through these questions. So politically exposed person, yes, no. So there has to be no's, of course. And then that's pretty much it. At that point, you're just going to have this information, and then you just go ahead and submit. So really, really simple. And you do it while you're opening up the account. So you get to open up the RSP and do the RSP loan all together. So really, really simple, quick way for you guys to do it. I also wanted to show you guys one new thing. Is it here? I'm gonna have it here because it's old. Here. So, if you guys individually, because I don't want you guys to share client information amongst each other, pull up one of your client's RSPs or TFSA. Any one of them, doesn't matter. Once you get to the account, there's a button here that says contribute. I believe it says sporadic contributions now, or periodic contributions. You are now able to add or edit a pack on Evo. So you can add or edit a pack. You no longer have to submit the pesky F51 143-A1 or something like that. So you can add and edit packs. You can also do one-time contributions on Evo. So instead of selecting pack, you can do sporadic payment, and you can do a one-time 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 contribution to the RSP, TFSA, FHSA, whatever the case may be. One more thing that I actually just learned in the previous session that I just had, you can actually also open the RSP loan that way. So if you have an existing RSP account with a client, so let's say, Param, let's say I'm your client, we're meeting and we already have an existing RSP of mine. We want to do an RSP loan. All you need to do is go into my RSP, go to contribute, type of contribution. It's going to be the same as this. Where is it? 1 second. It's going to look the same as this. You're going to do amount borrowed through RSP. That's it. Simple as that. So you are now able to do all these things on Evo. We do have more things coming in the near future. I don't have exact dates or exact details of what we are getting quite yet. Again, and of course, the KYC and trade ticket is coming as well. I don't have an exact date for that one yet. My best guess is the middle of this year we will have that completed. And at that point, we will, and once that's completed, so the priority number one, I should say right now, is getting Evo life insurance, web-based, and they should be completing that. They said end of this month, but I imagine it'll probably be end of February at this point. And once they do that, the next priority is to get WFG, the KYC and trade ticket integrated, because all the other brokerages have it. I think I've told you guys this before. Just when we first launched Evo, WFG wanted everything paper-based. But we will be getting the KYC and trade ticket integrated this year, as far as I'm aware. So I'm hoping for about June, July is kind of my best guess. But as soon as I have a date, guys, believe me, I will be yelling from the rooftop, KYC and trade ticket, KYC and trade ticket. One final thing, actually, I want to give you guys a huge shout out, to this office and WFG in overall. You guys did $1.2 billion in sales last year, just with IA. So, thank you guys. Last year was an absolutely incredible year. This month already, we've had our best month ever in January. But I mean, not only for January, I mean, ever. So thank you again, all of you guys. None of this would be possible. IA's growth, WFG's growth would not be possible without your tireless efforts, all the nights, all the afternoons, all the early mornings. Thank you guys for your continued support. We really, really appreciate it. And hopefully I get to see you guys again very soon in the office.
Amazing. All right, Daniel, thank you so much for sharing. We learned a lot today. There's a lot of great new additions as well. Daniel, there's one person that missed the QR code. If you could put that up
yeah.
again. And then I just want to share with the team. Those of you who are on, those of you who are in the area, tomorrow 7 p.m. we are all going to be in the office. Okay, we have a session happening with Peter Johal. I want everyone to be there. There's going to be a lot of people in the office as well, so everyone put it in your calendar. Tomorrow 7 p.m. be in the office. We're going to learn a lot. There's also some great news on promotions as well. So there's a new addition to a promotion. You guys can get promoted a lot faster to the highest ranks as well. So everyone who didn't do the CE credit, make sure you do. For the rest of us, once again, I want to thank you, Daniel, from the entire team for taking your time out and training us as well. So thank you so much. All right. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody.
Awesome.